start our unit on cooking, and we're gonna start with something very simple, eggs. So eggs are very versatile. You could make quiches and frittatas and whatever those foldy over things are called, omelets. You could make deviled eggs. You could make egg salad. So many things you can do with it. But today we're gonna start with just 3 simple ways for cooking an egg. So first we're gonna make scrambled egg. So we're gonna start off by making scrambled eggs. So what you're gonna need is a pan. Mine is Teflon, but if you don't have Teflon coated, that's fine, because we're also gonna spray it with Pam. You could use butter or oil, but this is what I prefer. You'll also need a whisk in a bowl and a spatula that you haven't melted to anything. So this is my only spatula that fits that description. So first, you're gonna take your egg, and I'm just doing 1 egg. You're gonna take your egg and bash it over the edge of the bowl to release it from its shell. All right, so we have our de-shelled egg. We're gonna take a whisk, and I'll show you. This is the egg in the bowl. We're gonna take a whisk and mix it all up so that the whites and the yellows are all mixed together, the yolk and the albumin, as it were. So once it's all sufficiently mixed, we are going to turn our pan to a medium heat. Let me just stick this in the sink. Okay, so our pan is here. It's getting heated up, so I'm going to spray it with my Pam so that my egg doesn't stick. Let's see if it's warm. Yep. I didn't touch the pan. I just kind of put my hand over it to feel if there was heat coming off the pan, and there was, so we should be good to go. So my egg is all mixed up. I'm gonna pour it right in the center of the pan so that the heat is distributed evenly. Come on, get all the goop out. All right, and then it's gonna start cooking, but what I like to do, I guess this is what everybody does, is you just start moving it around with your spatula to make it even more scrambledy, because if you just kind of left it like this, it would just come out as a sheet of egg. And we want it scrambled. Now this egg, I haven't added anything to it, of course, but you could add salt, you could add garlic and cheese, you could add a spice blend. You can do all sorts of things to it while it's cooking or after it's cooking. I might just turn the heat up a little bit. So the egg is still raw right now, which is not what you want to eat. You want the egg to kind of be more solid. And if you've never seen scrambled eggs, it kind of looks like a pillow of yellow clouds on your plate. I'm just going to keep moving this one around until it starts to look like a cloud. Had a little bit of shell in there, but I got it out. The shell's not going to hurt you if you eat it, but it's just kind of, texture-wise, kind of gross. All right, so maybe you could see that the egg is getting a little solid around the edges. It's not so wet looking. It's starting to dry off some of that water that was in the egg. And in case you're concerned, no chickens were harmed in the making of this egg because eggs are unfertilized, meaning there's no baby inside the egg. It's just, it's just the nutrients that would have gone to a baby had the egg been fertilized. And for that, you need a mommy chicken and a daddy chicken. But this is just the daily eggs that a chicken would lay regardless. So we're not hurting any chickens. We're not eating any baby chicks. That sounds weird now that I say it out loud. Okay, so my egg is almost completely done, and it only took 2 minutes. So I'm just going to chop it up with my spatula to make sure that any of the inside portion of the egg that wasn't cooked is now going to get cooked. So we want it all to be touching the heat. And that's all you really have to do. At this point, if I had a plate ready, I would just scrape this onto the plate and it'd be ready to eat. So it's super simple. Scrambled eggs is probably the first thing that most kids learn how to cook on the stove because it's just that easy. All right, next we're going to make a sunny side up egg or a fried egg. So I'm going to do my best to make it sunny side up, but basically a fried egg is you haven't scrambled it or mixed it with anything. You're just going to straight plop the egg into the pan and let it cook that way. So I'm going to spray Pam into my pan again, just so that the egg doesn't stick. And my pan is on medium-high heat. So I've sprayed the pan. I'll get my little brown egg. Again, we're gonna bash it on the edge of something and then crack it straight onto the pan. And you can see it's already started to cook. Let me wipe my hands off. So the white part of the egg is kind of run away. I'm gonna try to scoot that back towards the center so that we have one solid egg mass. All right, the edges are starting to bubble, which shows me that it's cooking pretty well on the outside, but the inside is still very wet, so I'm gonna turn the heat down because I don't want part of the egg to be burnt and the other part to be raw. Looks like it's cooking up pretty good. I'm gonna let it do its thing while I clean up. All right, it's getting pretty cooked at this point, so I'm gonna flip it over gently. Yay, all right. Okay, so it's flipped, now the other side's gonna cook. I'm not gonna cook it as long as I cooked this side because it's a sunny side up and I want the yolk to stay yellow and pretty runny. This is good for people who like to dip their toast into egg yolks. Not something I'm into, but give it a try if you've never done it. Maybe it might be something you like. All right, so I'm gonna let that cook for 1 minute and then flip it back over and then we'll have a finished egg. Just testing the solidity, if that's a word. Testing how solid it is before I flip it. Oh, well, okay. So we lost the yolk a little bit, but we have a fried egg. Can't lose. And at this point, if you're done, you could take it off the eye. I'm gonna turn the heat off. You could put salsa on top of it. You could put a cheese sauce on top of it. There's so many things you can do with eggs. They're amazing. Then, next I'm gonna show you about hard boiling eggs, all right? So if you try this out, let me know. I would love to see pictures. And join me here in about a second for hard-boiled eggs. Now we're gonna learn how to make hard-boiled eggs. So first, you're gonna need a pot. And then you're gonna need to turn it on to high because we want the water to boil. So this eye connects to this pot. Then I'm gonna add a quart of water. I measured it earlier, so it's gonna be 4 cups or 1 quart. I'm gonna pour that in. You might need more water depending on how many eggs you're gonna boil because you want the egg to be totally submerged. Submerged means it's underwater entirely. There's no part of the egg that's sticking out. I need more water. Okay, here's another quart of water. So in total, I've added 8 cups of water. I'm gonna bring that to a boil with the egg in it. So I'm just gonna do 1 today because I don't really like eggs, but it's important to know how to cook them. So I'm gonna take 1 egg and place it in the water and then let that boil together. I'm gonna need more water. This thing, it's maybe a big pot for 1 egg. Perfect. All right, so my egg is fully submerged underwater. So we're gonna let that come to a boil. All right, our egg is coming to kind of a steady boil. I'm gonna let it get even more active, like a volcano. All right, our egg has come to a boil. So I'm gonna turn the heat to low so that it'll just simmer. And then I'm gonna set my timer to 12 minutes. So I've already preset it. You can see it says, well, maybe to you it says 15. On my side, when it's not reversed, it says 12. Press start. And I'm gonna let it simmer for those 12 minutes. And that way I'll know it's entirely done. So while it's adjusting from the high heat to the low heat, it's still gonna boil. And that's good. You still want that because it's gonna help cook the egg all the way through. And I mentioned earlier, I don't really like eggs. But I could handle a hard-boiled egg if it's really cooked all the way through. So that's why I set it to 12 minutes. If you want your egg to be a little softer, you could set it to 9 minutes or even 8 minutes, and it might be a little runny on the center, but the white part will be cooked. But like I said, I need it to be like dried out for me to handle it. Otherwise the texture, ugh, sensory weirdness for me. All right, so the boil is coming down to a simmer. I still have 11 minutes left on my timer. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get a bowl and fill it with cold water and ice. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because once this egg is ready to be peeled, the shell can sometimes be stuck to the egg itself. So if we put it in an ice bath right after it comes off the heat, it's gonna make it easier to peel the egg. And I'm sure there's a magical reason that Alton Brown would be able to tell us why it does that. I don't know, that's just how I grew up cooking eggs. So you put them in an ice bath and then they're easier to peel. And I'll show you that part next. Okay, so my timer went off. The egg is ready to come out of the pot and go into the ice bath. Let me get the ice bath. So I'm gonna use this spaghetti scooper, pasta scooper, to just get the egg out of the hot water because I don't want to burn myself. And I want the extra water to come off. So here's my egg. It's going into the ice bath for about 5 minutes. And that's just gonna help the eggshell come off when I go to peel it. So I'm gonna set the timer for 5 minutes now. So you can see, it probably looks like 2 minutes to you, but on my side, where it's not reversed, it's 5 minutes. So then when we come back, we'll peel it. All right, so my timer went off, which means my egg should be cooled down and I can touch it and take it out of the ice bath. So if we had to decide that there was a top to an egg and a bottom to an egg, I'm gonna say this is the top and the rounder part, the less pointy part, is the bottom. So that's where I usually start peeling them. So I bash them on a surface until the egg is kind of released itself, you see? And then you can go from there just peeling. So the ice bath, in theory, should make it easier to peel the egg so that there's no shells kind of stuck to the egg. Sometimes when you go to peel them, they gouge bits and chunks out of the egg, and we don't want that. We want the whole egg to enjoy all of its protein and nutritional value. I realize I just sounded like a Valley girl. Nutritional value. So far it's working. The ice bath helped. Sometimes people say you could like put it in vinegar or you could put it in the salt water bath. I've just always done it with the ice bath method, and I've never had any qualms with that. So I'll show you. Just rinse this egg off in the water. So as you can see, the egg is perfectly peeled, no chunks or gouge marks missing. And then if we want to crack it open and see how the yolk turned out, oh, perfectly cooked. All right, so that's how you make a hard-boiled egg. I hope that if you like eggs or if you want to make some eggs for anybody else, you try this out. All right, bye. Hello. Nope. Gonna make some sunny side up eggs in a minute. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Today we're making hard-boiled eggs. I'm kidding, I did see you there. Sunny side. And a spatula to flip the egg. Nope. Let me start over. Oh, you gotta sing while you're cooking. Now we're gonna learn how to make. You can make frittatas, or what are those things called? Well, I should have thought of these words before I started talking. We're gonna turn the heat to really low. What is this? I'm not doing this right. Oh my goodness. This egg just wants to float. So I'm gonna let it sit in this rolling boil for about 1 minute. And then, like I said, we're gonna turn the heat off and then set a timer for 12 minutes because we're gonna let it simmer. Maybe not turn the heat off. I just cut my hair this morning and I can see that this part is kind of sticking out. That's alright, it gives us character.